The following podcast is meant to inform and entertain. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of others, experts, or anyone capable of thinking. Occasionally, we may go off topic or say something offensive. We're just a couple of humans trying to create better lives for our animals. Yours truly, The Bark. P.S. Please don't sue us.
This is The Bark, a pet podcast unleashed.
And we're back. Episode 2. I talk and sing song when I get excited. So we are back, episode 2, and we are going to talk your ear off about pet responsibility or irresponsibility. And kind of like we touched on in episode 1, how what you do for your pet with your pet impacts everyone. Honestly. So you can grab a stress ball, you can grab a bowl of popcorn, you can grab a box of tissues or a swig of whiskey, whatever's going to help make this more enjoyable for you.
I think that's a good practice because
Yeah.
we might be highlighting some things that are whoever is listening doesn't realize that maybe they could do better. And we're not trying to point a finger, but we are trying to keep you open-minded. Like, oh, I didn't think I could be in trouble or my pet could be in trouble by not doing or doing X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
So,
Yep,
Yeah.
totally. So we're going to chat a lot about that today. Before we dive in, Candy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm really, really tired, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
fine.
We've been planning this for months. We've been fundraising. Speaking of fundraising, where can people go if they want to sponsor our show?
So they can go to lawsavingpaws.org. And we have a lot of sponsorship opportunities, but particularly we are looking for folks who want to right now at least sponsor an episode.
Right.
I mean, it's it's a concise request that we have. I mean, each of these episodes is, obviously costs a certain amount, and we are hoping to sustain this long enough that we can actually make an impact. So
Absolutely.
lawsavingpaws.org. There'll be a call to action on the homepage for you to do that. Different sponsorship opportunities, and it could be a really good opportunity
Business.
for businesses. Yep,
Yeah.
we have this really cool screen behind us where we can show your
Yeah.
logo. We'll
On the
we'll shout
website.
you out. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. We've got some email marketing, some social media marketing. We will make sure that people
Yeah.
know that you've supported us.
And if you sponsor us through your business, I would say send us a t-shirt. We'll wear it.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
Let's do that.
I would do it. I'd
Earrings?
commit to
I
that.
don't know. What?
Yeah.
No?
I'll wear a t-shirt.
You'll wear a t-shirt? You
Yeah.
wouldn't wear like some branded earrings or I don't know. What
I
people
guess
have?
if it's for the animals, I guess I'll consider it.
You're a hero.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So, but we're excited to just kind of
Yeah.
partner up with people the
Yep.
more we continue this
Yeah.
journey for us. So, we're going to talk about some responsibility on this episode. I mean, gosh, there's so much happening in the news as far as, not just limited to Tennessee. And I think it's really easy to see something and say, okay, well, that's that neighborhood. That's, that county. That's that state.
Or that's that problem area of the state.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Like, why should I care? And that is the premise. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like that's our premise. It's like, here's why you should care. I do want to quickly just shout out another nonprofit. That's, I mean, it's completely unrelated, but I was recently so inspired by what they were doing because I feel like the way that we've approached this, it's like, make people care about, make people understand why they need to care. How does it impact them,
Mhm.
right? Like, what's in it for them?
With them.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do think that, is a huge motivator. But honestly, I just saw this nonprofit called Charity Water.
Okay.
And I think they're out of Franklin, Tennessee. But anyways, I listened to them speak recently, and it was so cool to see the impact they had by sharing I guess what's happening on other continents, truly, like the quality of water they're drinking was causing X amount of problems, and it was devastating, right? And I mean, the people here who are supporting that, they're not impacted, right? Like we've got clean water. We've Tennessee clean. I don't know. I just had a filter installed.
In the U.S., we're
cleaner.
where it's not something that we have to worry about for our health's sake. Could it be cleaner? Could it be a little bit more pure? Could our waterways be doing a little bit better? Look up the Hellbender if you want to know more about that.
Candy has.
But we're not in a water crisis, for example.
Right. So that being said, I mean, they launched this nonprofit, and I mean, many, many years it's been in existence, but they've really shared with people, like, here's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
If you're compelled to support their mission and whatnot, if you're compelled to change that for these people in other continents, make a donation, do this, do that.
Right.
And I thought, oh my goodness, like, that is just so cool. Like they're thriving. They truly are. And I just think it's so cool to see that there's stuff happening half a world away that people care about. So naturally, I would think, okay, well, this stuff should be easy to persuade people to care about, right? But maybe not so much.
Yeah. We have to remember that people are being asked to split their dollar 10 different ways.
100%. Yep, 100%. So, and that's why we will encourage you. I mean, if you're feeling compelled to even if you can't financially support us, like what you hear in our episodes and even today about pet responsibility, and please share this information. I mean, talk to your neighbor, talk to your hairdresser, talk to your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you don't need to put your money where your mouth is always. I mean, for us, I think it's literally, people ask us all the time, how can I help you right now? Share our mission, share what we're doing.
Right.
And it seems simple. I think people want to do more. They feel helpless when we tell them that, like, that's not enough. Well, that's what we need right now.
I would say if you want to do more, first of all, share our mission with your closest dog lover. Or cat lover. We've gotten some feedback already that people want to know more about the cat crisis as well. So we are going to be dipping.
It's on our radar. It's on our radar.
Yes. And I would say if you want to be more involved, roll up your sleeves, contact your local shelter or rescue. See which program works best for you. You might, like me, I joined a few rescues that just didn't align the best with me. So I swapped. I went to another rescue and then another one until I found better matches. And now I am in it to win it. So I would say if you want to get involved, if you have that mentality that, oh man, I can't go to a shelter, it would just break my heart. Go do a tour. It will not break your heart. The shelters are different nowadays, especially the city shelters. It's not what you think. If you are in a rural area, it is what you think, and they need help. So roll up your sleeve, get in there.
It's true.
No matter whether you see that dog or not, or you help that dog or not, that dog is still there. That dog is still impacted.
Yep.
So.
Yep. 100%. No, thank you. I think that's really important to cover, to be honest. There's no shortage of opportunities to help. So like I was saying, we're going to talk about some pet responsibility on this episode. And I guess, it's really, let's be honest, we're going to talk about irresponsibility. And how does one define that, right? Because again, we do believe people are, they only know what they know.
Right. And we're human. And when we talk about responsibility, I don't take my vitamins all the time.
Yeah.
I don't floss my teeth as regularly as I probably should, you know?
Right.
So again, not trying to judge, but let's talk about the things that could, send you into kind of a bind, that we want to make you more aware of.
Yes, 100%. And some of the things at the top of our list, and again, there are things that we're gonna talk to you about. We're not saying you have to do them, but we want to give you enough information so that you can responsibly make a decision you feel good about. Right. So in this, I say that because the first one, and we'll go through the list, Candy, and then maybe we can kind of like dive into a couple of them. Right. But, the short list, I should say, is taking necessary precautions depending on if you fix or not fix your pet. Right.
Right.
So it's not necessarily the responsibility of actually fixing your animal, but it comes with, if you're not going to do it,
What
how
do you
can
do?
you responsibly
Right.
make sure that they're not going to reproduce?
Right.
Right. And so some of the other things, roaming dogs, good
Mhm.
Lord in heaven. Like it is, I've changed my lifestyle a little based on the roaming dog. I mean, honestly, I've got, one of my dogs, she gets a little leash aggressive. I'm not going to lie. And I'm able to manage it, but here I've encountered so many roaming or homeless animals. And honestly, when my mom visits, I'm a little hesitant to go to certain areas because I'm like, well, there's a higher population of homeless animals in that area, or free range dogs, if you will. So Mom, let's not go for a walk there. But I've had to adjust what I do.
Right. Even on my own street, there's only 17 homes on my own street, and I've encountered probably just as many loose dogs.
Yeah.
In the 5 years I've lived there. So, and that's not okay because my dog has leash anxiety. So what happens is somebody else will have a fun, fluffy dog or not. I've had dogs come up raging and screaming and barking at my dog. And after all the work that I've done with him, it's going to send him into a panic.
Yep.
But even if you have a friendly dog and he comes up for little nose snuggles and sniffing on my dog, that will also send my dog into a panic. And my dog is a huge 75, 80-ish pound bully breed.
Ugh.
And if he gets scared, he's gonna attack out of fear.
And here's you trying to be a responsible pet owner, though. My dog needs to go for a walk.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So
I need to go for a walk.
You
I
need to go for a walk. You're so right. You're right.
I actually stopped walking after our first year of living there. I stopped walking and then the springtime came. I'm like, how come I haven't been walking? Because I've bought the gear to even go out in the winter. And I'm like, I bought all this gear and why haven't I been doing it? And I went for a walk and sure enough, the same neighbor had her two little something or another's come full rage at us.
Oh, see, that would stop me from, truthfully, I would stop me from walking.
Yes.
Or I'd take out my pepper spray.
Right. Well, and the thing is, the thing is, she's like, well, my dog is bossy. Maybe my dog just needs to learn a lesson. I'm like, 80-pound dog.
It's going to be a hard lesson.
Yeah. It's going to be game over. I can't, my dog is a very well-behaved dog. He's so smart.
I can vouch.
Yes, you can.
I can vouch.
He is such a smart dog, but things scare him.
Yes.
Things scare all of us.
Yes.
100%.
So, and the more you know, right? We're not we are not condemning people, but we want you to understand like how this may impact.
Right. And I think
people.
that's what people think. They're like, my dog is friendly and he has pretty good recall. We're good to go. No big deal. And it's like, no, you don't know who your dog is going to run up to, and your dog is going to end up in a crisis because they ran up to the wrong dog.
Right. Let's just prevent it altogether.
Right.
Imagine that. So kind of very similar to the free range dogs, I should say. Yeah. Like not properly securing your dogs.
That's one that impacts the people who don't own pets as well.
Yeah.
Because I've seen horrible car accidents. I have photos of a truck that flipped over because a dog just ran out into the street. So now that pet owner, and if I remember the notes correctly on that incident, the pet owner was very upset with the truck driver. And it's like, the truck driver was minding their own business.
Trying not to hit your dog, mind you.
Your dog runs out. So even if, and that truck driver did have a dog in the car, fortunately, the dog was okay. The owner was busted up a bit. But the thing is, maybe that driver didn't have a dog, doesn't have pets, doesn't want to spend money, And what you have to think about is also the community. Your insurance rates are based on the number of incidents in your community.
Oh, that's a good angle. Candy, you're on fire. I didn't even think of that. We should Progressive, if you're listening, if you want to sponsor an episode. That's hysterical, but also true.
Yes.
Very true.
I've had, again, I support shelters in West Tennessee, and I am on some of those Facebook channels and feeds and whatnot, pages, I should say. And I remember somebody complaining about, hey, every day I go to drive across these train tracks and there's like 4 dogs that are loose. And, one of these days they're going to get hit. And so that person is screaming out, trying to prevent hurting somebody else's dog. Well, the dog owner catches wind and responds, I want my dogs to live a happy life. I want them to be free.
Oh, it's such a cop-out.
Get in your way, just speed up and take them out. That way they don't feel it. Yes. Yes. So again, these are your neighbors. These are the people that you live next to. These are the people who are impacting your insurance rates and your taxes and so on and so forth. So yeah, when you see a problem, say something. When you see a loose dog and you know who it belongs to, maybe kindly say something. If you don't feel safe doing that, call non-emergency police and tell them, hey, this is a problem. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Somebody could get into a car wreck hitting a dog and die. Yeah. So it's a problem.
Well, I have, a story. I had met someone recently whose uncle, I guess, they live up north but obviously, there's loose dogs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And her uncle he was a very avid runner.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd always go out running in a park or something. And there was one day where he got attacked by a loose dog, and it did so much damage to his ankle that he cannot run again.
That's awful.
That is not it's just, that's not fair.
No, it's not. You're taking away somebody, like a passion that somebody has, their lifestyle, their health.
Yeah. And we don't know, listen, and I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know if this was a homeless dog. I don't know if it belonged to someone.
Right.
I really don't know how that turned out. But here's why you should care. Even if that dog was homeless and you are the most responsible of pet owners, I'd encourage you to share what we're talking about, because we would have less of that if we had a reduced animal population.
Right.
So it's all, you know what I mean?
And I think when I was growing up, it was dogs and cats on the street. My family was like, don't touch them, germs, illnesses, da-da-da-da.
In Nicaragua, they tell me that.
Yeah. And we'll get into health matters, and there is rather few communicable diseases between pets and humans. There are a few.
Right.
Mostly things that can be treated like ringworm.
Right.
There's a few, but for the most part, you're not going to really get something from a dog, especially not something that you cannot treat.
Yeah.
But what I would say about that is help that dog. If you keep seeing a stray, help it on the first day, not the 10th day.
Right.
Help it, especially because you want to get it off the street. If you have an area of your home where you can keep it, get it. Yeah. Contact a rescue to help you with low cost spay neuter, things like that. If you can take it in and help it, or just hang on to it until the shelter has an opening.
That is more likely, because I love, you make great points. That's true. I think in a world where there was space.
Right.
But I think so often that I'm seeing is, someone wants to help this dog. Rescues and shelters are full. I mean, so you can't, people want to help, but there's no pathway for them to help. So we need to help create that pathway.
And I think, I keep preaching this to people who are first-time dog owners or they're very young. Don't get a pet. Foster first.
Totally. Yeah.
Help your community and foster dogs until you find the one that really fits with your lifestyle.
Yep.
Yep. I foster all the time, and I recently fell in love with a dog that I almost kept her, but she's maybe getting adopted by a friend, so I'll still get to see her. We'll talk about her more in episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I would just say to anybody, before people pick the dog based on the breed. If you're going to pick based on the breed, please read about that dog. Please. Great Pyrenees, they're beautiful. I agree. If you want a Great Pyrenees, I agree with you. Did you know they're nocturnal? Did you know?
I didn't know that.
They are nocturnal.
Wow.
They will annoy you in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
They are also escape artists. They like
I believe that.
Yeah, they like to roam. They are used they are used for guarding livestock. So they are going to roam. They're going to hop your fence. You're going to be in trouble with animal control. So before you get a particular breed, read the breed is what I would say. So that definitely is one of the big things for responsible pet ownership. Read the breed.
Read the breed.
Read the breed.
Love it.
Yes. So I would say that. And I would also say, okay, I love Great Danes. I love, love, love Great
Yeah.
Danes. I had the opportunity to foster 2 6-month-old Great Danes in December. I thought they would be smaller than they were. They were not smaller than they were. And I thought, I've always loved this breed. I haven't read up on them. These 2 dogs are going to wreck me. They're going to have some bad habit that I can't stand, and I'm going to just never get to fulfill my dream of having a Great Dane. They were amazing. I fell on the couch with them one night and woke up with these 2 chocolatey, beautiful Great Danes in my arms, and I loved every moment of it. Oh, so thank you, Jim. I loved every moment of it. I was very fortunate. But there are other times where I've seen people get a doodle or a this or a that, and they don't realize the energy level. Oh my gosh. Australian Shepherds.
Yeah.
Border Collies.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Healers. Healers.
They are called healers because they nip heels. When your kid runs, they will likely, not all of them, nip your toddler, your child's heels.
Right.
Because that's how they corral. They're
Right.
made for herding animals.
Right.
And that's how they corral the animals. So again, going back to the read the breed.
Yeah.
And when that book or that website says this dog will herd, know that means that dog is going to nip you to
Right.
get you to do what it wants you to do.
Right.
And again, not all of them, but that's why I also say foster.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
See if there's those little annoying habits. If can you change it a little bit? Something like herding in a herding animal. It's like telling somebody who's passionate about running or has played tennis for their whole life.
Yeah.
It's like telling them you're never going to play tennis again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been playing tennis for 20, 30, 40 years. Put the tennis racket down.
Right.
I know you were made for it. I know you have this great talent for it.
Yeah.
Stop doing it and stop doing it today.
Yeah. 100%.
That's what, when we try to go against a breed, it's just this really unnatural pull that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then that's where you really have a problem containing, owning, loving, living with that dog.
Right. And again, like that kind of creates,
Yeah.
that creates the surrenders, that creates
Right.
maybe the loose dogs you were saying,
Right.
the escape artists that, yeah.
I want to mention Brandon McMillan here with Lucky Dog. He's the best example. He's a really popular trainer. He has a book out there called Lucky Dog.
Okay.
He has his own show.
I've seen the show.
Yes.
All right.
He has his own masterclass. I
Yeah.
think he's great. And he's the one that explained that idea of imagine playing tennis. He was talking to a client and the client wasn't getting, well, I just want my dog to do this. That's great that you want your dog to do that. What do you like to do? And the client said, I love playing tennis. Okay. Imagine if I told you you're never to play tennis again. So he, reading his book, that's where that idea really sunk in for me is when you're trying to read these breeds, you're like, oh, well, we'll change that.
Yep.
Is it fair to the dog to try to change those ingrained behaviors?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would definitely,
that is like, a priority, a high priority of if you're even considering having a pet, a dog,
right.
for instance. Yeah. And if you're, listening, watching, okay, I don't like animals. They're roaming dogs in this rural county, but I live here. Why do I care?
Okay. So
Tell us, Candy.
yes,
This is the popcorn part. By the way,
yes.
if you have all the tools I mentioned at the beginning of this is the popcorn part.
if you are sitting in a room with a bunch of balloons, I'm about to bust them. So people think that when we transport dogs or they like a certain dog, that all the shelters are connected. The truth of the matter is they're all independent and they're all paid for, funded by that municipality's tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So when you, if you try to take a dog from one county to another, and you're like, oh no, but I live over here, they will tell you, nope, your dog has to be surrendered in your county. So when I have somebody surrendering a dog and they're like, well, I've tried 3 shelters, you're kind of doing it wrong.
Yeah.
The only shelter you are supposed to surrender to is the one in your municipality because your tax dollars are paying for that program.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of people will say, we had a recent adopted dog where the dog was adopted to a family that lived in Fort Lee, Virginia on a military base. They took it 20 minutes up the road and dumped it in the country because the thought is the country is safer for abandoning a dog. It won't necessarily get hit by a car or whatever.
Yep.
This dog was abandoned within the same county, but had it traveled or been dumped across county lines, that where they lived in a more city environment, those city shelters tend to have more and better programs.
Okay.
Versus the rural shelters are barely funded, barely employed. I mean, there are shelters out here in West Tennessee. There's no building. The dogs are outdoors in little like covered kennels that they're covered. It's not a building. There's not 4 walls.
Yeah.
It's a kennel with a cover. End of story. And that's the case in the heat of summer and the cold of winter. It's really sad and really miserable. I can't imagine sitting in that kennel in negative 10-degree weather and it starts to rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so you're exacerbating these rural shelters that are already down to barely anything.
Right. And that's I had come across someone even, over the winter, I saw, it was actually a very humbling moment for me because I saw someone giving away puppies in a Walmart parking lot, and I posted about it on our Facebook page. If you follow us, if you follow Lost Saving Paws on Facebook, the organization. But I posted back in December because I came into contact with someone who was giving away puppies in a Walmart nearby parking lot.
Right.
And I approached him. I wanted to ask him questions. It wasn't, that's about it. He had dogs that he found abandoned in a different county. There was no one in his county to take them. So he drove over to our county, which was more populated, right? More dense. Thought, well, I'll just give these puppies away. He was trying to do the best. I mean, he was
the best
like,
he could. Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to spend $1 million on dogs that don't?
And he vaccinated a couple of them.
Oh,
yeah. Like
awesome.
He was like, I only had money to vaccinate like these couple.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving them away because everything's full. I don't know what to do with them. So he was trying to do the best he could. But the point being is he found these dogs at another county.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And he drove over to my county or our county and was trying to find homes for them. And who knows what because they're free too. I mean, you can't vet these people.
Right.
You don't know what's going to happen with them. I mean, that dog could be contributing to a dog fighting
ring
in another. I mean, it's just
another. Yeah. I would say for anybody facing, like I found some puppies, I found a dog. On day 1, contact a rescue.
Yeah.
If you're going to, like that guy brought him to his home, had time to vaccinate, contact a rescue on day 1 saying, hey, I've got, some dogs have litters of 12. I've got a mama dog and 12 puppies. If he's willing to keep them for even a week or 2.
Yeah.
And say, I can keep them for X long. Can you help me? Because what rescues will do is they'll help you vet them. They sometimes, and this is where we need more help in Tennessee. In my area, I don't have a single vet that will give me a discount on vet services, not $1. Okay. And so but sometimes the rescues find ways to have low cost spay. They can partner with shelters for low cost spay, neuter and vaccination. There are other programs that they can partner with. So I would say day 1, contact a rescue, say, here's the situation I'm in. Please don't threaten the rescue that if they're not gone by Friday, you're going to let them loose or you're going to shoot them or you're going to drown them. We get those calls all the time. And even just because you found them doesn't mean we have a solution for them. The foster system right now is at an all-time low.
Right.
We can't find fosters for anything. We have people calling us all the time saying, I have to move out of my apartment tomorrow and this dog needs to be gone by noon. I can't help you.
Yeah.
Your procrastination is not my emergency. So I would say for anybody facing this gentleman's situation, contact a rescue on day 1. Tell them your situation, what you found. Tell them, what can you do to support the situation while the rescue supports you. There are shelters who have similar programs that while these dogs are in your home, they'll post the dog on rescue websites for adoption. They can really network better than a single person can.
Right. And vet them. And like we've talked about before, it is, it is lawful to fix the animals before they leave a rescue.
Right.
It's not just limited to shelters. So that, that is going to help control the animal population if you also go through a facility like that.
And I would say, I don't encourage anybody abandoning any animal, but if you're going to abandon an animal, get them spayed or neutered first. That is one of the biggest contributor is these dogs are kicked out of their home. You took on the responsibility of that dog, but you didn't give back to it the way it needed to be given back to. So even if you have to surrender a dog that in a month or two, get it fixed.
Right.
You had that dog for how long? It needs to be fixed before it makes more puppies, before it makes puppies on the road, and those puppies get hit by cars and this and that and the other. So I would just say, if you have to surrender your dog, get it fixed. It's your dog. It's your responsibility. So that's another thing I would add to that situation.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and I'm gonna backpedal a little because I wanted to talk a little bit about securing your dog, just because again, I try not to. I've told you this, Candy. I try not to participate in too many of the online forums because I call them distractions. I think they take my eyes off the prize. For me, I think it's good to have. I think it's good that people stay informed, and I just, for me, don't have the bandwidth.
Sure.
I know it's a slippery slope for me. I will slide down that slope.
And sometimes we just don't want to say the wrong things, and further cause disruption. So I get it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I try to stay out of them. But, at times I do see, we have an incident, for instance. I kind of have to look at stuff because on our website, lostsavingpaws.org, we have a page for, we call them incident reports. Right. There's so much happening that truthfully, it is like not an accurate representation of everything happening in Tennessee. But ideally with this page, we are tracking all of the incidents that, at least for the most part, we're seeing on Facebook. It's assaulted dogs, abused dogs, neglected,
there was
hit by a car, roaming.
Right. There was a few months ago an incident in Memphis where a man threw a dog off of a bridge and went and got the dog again and threw it off the bridge again, if I remember correctly. Yes. It was like one of those like walking bridges, I think is what it was. Yes. It's awful. Awful. And the only reason he was caught is because a local business owner had a camera, and I don't know how they thought to, I know why, because the dog was found. He'd passed away. And, during the investigation, they found that business owner who had a camera on their building, and they were able to find the person who did it.
Kudos to them for investigating.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times,
truly.
these things don't get investigated.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so funny when before I even moved to Tennessee, I came here and I went to a Titans preseason game, and I'm walking down the, the pedestrian bridge from Nissan Stadium with my brother-in-law. And there's this guy selling pit bulls out of his giant bin. And my instinct reaction before this was ever even like a thought, this organization, everything.
Right.
Oh my gosh, look at those adorable puppies.
Oh, yeah.
I want one. I held one. There are pictures of me holding puppies that this man is selling on the bridge.
Right.
And I remember saying to my brother-in-law, you can just do that here. You can just sell puppies on bridge. He goes, yeah, it's Tennessee. You can do whatever you want. That is not true. And we're not going to, this isn't the episode where we're talking about this, but it's,
there's just a lot.
That's false, by the way. You can't do that.
It's, this goes back to what we were saying earlier, some of the things that we want to address. In some cases, there is legislation, but not implementation of that legislation.
Yes, 100%. So gosh, I don't even know how I ended up there. We were talking about loose dogs though. And okay, let's just go back a little bit, because if you're a pet owner and you're like, okay, I know all of these things. Yeah. I secure my dog. No worries. This isn't for me. We encourage you, if you think your dog is secure, we encourage microchipping, right? Microchips, you could find these clinics for $10.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And as easily accessible as your local shelter, Tractor Supply. Just Google online or Bing or whatever you use. And look up microchip clinic. And then I would say you don't know how much of a crisis you're in until, that leash snaps or your
Oh my
dog
gosh.
sees something. My dog has great recall, but one day there was a deer after we moved into our new home. One day there was a deer and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he took off and I'm like, he's going to get killed by that deer. But next thing I know, I was so fortunate. He popped up out of the woods and came back.
Yeah. Well, because there is, our shelter installed recently a chip reader outside. So even if they're closed, you can bring a dog that you found there to get read, which is amazing, I think.
Right. And you can call them and say, oh, that's my neighbor 3 doors down.
Right. Right.
You know?
I mean, I will tell you, when I found a dog, oh my gosh, it was one of my first experiences when I moved here. This dog kept showing up on my front step and I'm like, is this normal? Apparently it is. Yeah. But the dog didn't, I think it did have a microchip, but because I didn't have access to a reader, everything was closed.
Right.
I called the company. They don't give you the person's direct information. Right. I didn't know who the dog belonged to. So you are in a game of telephone to figure out who this owner is. You have to hang on to the dog. So honestly, but
at least you have something to help.
I had something. Yeah, I absolutely had something. So the microchipping, and honestly, not everyone does this. I've met a lot of people who don't, but I keep my collars on my dogs at all times with their tags. I know a lot of people don't. I do that because I think, what if? Yeah. I mean, gosh, just what if? You never know. And I watch my dogs in the yard. I'm very attentive.
Think beyond that. What happens if, hopefully not, there's a fire in your home and you have to run out? Now you're going to search for the dog's collar.
Right.
And if your dog doesn't have good recall, then how are you going to run out with an unleashed dog?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my dogs are chipped and a cot. Like there's no, I'm like helicopter dog mom. I'm like, you are not getting away from me. But yeah, that's something I've always done. And I've known a lot of people who take those off even at home. And I'm like, but what if?
Right.
What if it comes across someone who doesn't know what a microchip is?
Right. Exactly. And there are still people that are like, we have people who, in one of the shelters that I support in West Tennessee, these people, their dog got loose. And, I forget how we connected back to the owners. Like we posted on the Facebook page and I think somebody's like, oh, that's Joe Schmo's dog. And
Joe, you are not allowed to get any more dogs.
Yeah. And we finally connected the two and the people said, oh yeah, we lost our dog. We didn't think to check at the shelter. Sometimes when you're in a panic, common sense escapes us.
100%. Right? Even when I'm not in a panic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I do want to go back to talk about these loose dogs. And one of the things top on our list was not taking precautions when we choose not to fix our dogs.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So there's some studies lately, let me start here, that says, you shouldn't fix your dogs when they're young. It should be when they're older. Do your research, okay? I want to caution you that this is for large breeds only. It is not even for all large breeds. I think there's like 6 large breeds that it says wait till they're older. And it's not 2 years of age. It's something like 10 months or a year. Speak to your vet. Your vet's going to be your best guidance. Mm-hmm. Other than that, a lot of people don't realize this, but a dog can go into heat as young as 6 months. A cat as young as, I think it's 4 months. Yep. So don't wait till that 4-month mark or that 6-month mark to make your vet appointment. Your vet might be full. Mm-hmm. Do it early. And if you do want to wait, let's say you have a large breed and you're going to wait until the dog is older to spay or neuter them. A vet will tell you that you need 2 forms of a barrier between a male and a female dog. You won't always notice symptoms of your dog going into what's called estrus, going into heat. Mm-hmm. You won't always notice that on day 1. But your male dog will, because a male dog or a male cat can smell a female in heat. In dogs, it's about 3 miles. Mm-hmm. Some studies say about 3 miles a male dog can smell a female in heat. For cats, it's about 1 mile.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. But still, once they smell that dog or cat
and
in
they
heat,
want it, I've heard
Mm-hmm. It's like 911 Tinder. I don't know. Dogs will break through chains. Pets, when a female dog goes into estrus, there's the pre-estrus stage and she won't allow breeding at that time. But during estrus,
she will.
Yeah.
Dogs can breathe through fences. Dogs can hop fences. They will break through fences. They will break through doors. So if you're going to prolong before you spay or neuter, just know that you need to have 2 barriers. If you take your dog out, even for a quick potty break, you need to be with them. They need to be on a leash. That way, if a male dog comes around and starts to act, these dogs can act aggressively. You grab your dog or you pull them by the leash and you get them inside.
Yep.
And protect that dog. So those are the things that we need to consider. I had a cat when I was first in college. It was a friend's cat. Things didn't work out with him and the cat. I got the cat and then she was a little kitten. By the time I got her, I'm trying to figure out when do I spay her, this and that and the other. Got to make an appointment and just vaccines and everything. But as I was doing that, she went into heat. And this cat always wanted to go outside. She loved to be outside at all this time. So I was already fighting with her. But before I could get the appointment, she went into heat. So you're thinking, let me take a step back there. There was a tomcat in the neighborhood.
Oh no.
I'm a college student. I'm trying to get good rest and do my exams and do my projects and everything else that you have to do. I was a working college student and I've got this tomcat screaming outside my window all night long. And
just longing.
Oh my gosh. And I've already got this female kitten that loves to go out and walk around and and every time I'm opening that front door, I'm trying to and at one point she gets out and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to keep him away from her. And she's going to try to get away from him. No. My dear darling Roxanne, I called her Roxanne after the police song Roxanne because she loved to go out at night.
That's awesome.
When I'm thinking I'm protecting her and she's going to, once I get her away from the tomcat, she's going to run back inside. No, she starts to flip over and flirt on the ground.
Oh,
and
that's hilarious.
I'm like, Mom, that's
like cat twerking.
Yes. And I'm like, you hussy cat, get in the house. But anyway, she did not get pregnant. She did get fixed. But these are things that we don't know about until we're in the mix of it. So if you have a reason to delay spay neuter, I get it. Find out what barriers you need to have in place. In the meantime, separate your boys' cats from your girl cats and dogs. Your neighbor's dog, again, dogs and cats can mate through a fence. They can jump fences. So just be aware and make the proper precautions. I want to step over to chain dogs.
Hang on just a second.
Sure.
I do want to also say we do recognize, right? Like if you're like, yeah, I'm on board, duh, I just can't find anywhere to do it.
Right.
We recognize that creating a pathway for accessible and affordable spay and neuter is a problem right now in Tennessee.
Right.
So, but that's why Candy just went into detail. Even if you are trying to be super responsible, you're on a list, it's what you want to do, you're ready. Just take those necessary precautions. And that's why we're doing all this, right?
And get on that list. Don't wait till that 6-month mark. Don't wait till that on cats, that 4-month mark.
Right.
Make your appointment in advance. See when your vet is available or when your local spay neuter. A lot of the shelters offer spay neuter programs. There are a lot of independent spay neuter programs. Pet Community Center here in Nashville.
SpayTennessee.org. I talk about them a lot. They've worked with me just in putting together this really awesome map for our website that represents all the different shelters in the state because we were just trying to spotlight the lack of resources, right? And but anyway, Spay Tennessee, their website, spaytennessee.org, it's an excellent resource no matter where you're living.
Right, you can look
find
up
something.
In your county, you can look up the resources available to you.
Yes.
So, but again, get on those lists ahead of time.
Yes, 100%. So, okay, we'll go back to the
chaining dogs
on chains. And just so we know too, the next episode, we are going to dive into the spay neuter stuff a lot more. So for those of you who are like on the edge of your seat.
Yes. Okay.
All
So
right.
before I tell too much about spay neuter, one thing I do want to mention about chain dogs, you're facing a lot of the same issues. If you have a dog on a chain and they're not spayed or neutered, you're going to have that female dog is held captive for a male dog that comes along and smells them in heat.
Yeah. I think they made a movie about that.
Right. And then male dogs, if the male dog is in heat, not in heat, if the male dog is on the chain,
they will break that chain
Mm-hmm.
to get to, they'll break the chain to go on an adventure.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many dogs end up at the shelter with the chain broken on their neck. But another thing that I recently learned is that when we chain dogs, they become aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they become aggressive is because dogs are territorial. When you put them on a chain, you're giving them a clear directive of what is their territory, what is their property. And then they have nothing else to do. They'd start to defend it. And so you could have, we recently had 3 dogs come into one of the rescues, and all of them were dog aggressive with each other even, because they were on separate chains in the same backyard. So it's, it's like having 3 teenagers. This is my room. Get out of my room. This is my room. You get out of my room, So chaining can create aggression in dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
mind-boggling.
Yes. So
I mean, it's like, listen,
yeah,
I'm obsessed with killer whales.
Okay.
There's a reason they started attacking people at SeaWorld. I'm just saying, they're in captivity for so long. Like,
you're bored, you're pissed off, you're tired of being polite.
I'm just saying, like, that's my next podcast. It'll be all about killer whales. Get ready.
So,
no, I'm just joking.
What's the documentary? Blackfish.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not for this. Not for this.
I will go off like a tangent like no other.
Yes. Okay. I saw that too. It's great. If you haven't seen it, it will break your heart. Bring tissues, bring popcorn. But that's a good point. I know we're talking about dogs and cats, but there's this whole like humanity. We're so busy with our lives. I feel like we've lost some of our humanity. So we're very like,
it's a really nice way to put it.
You're right. Like
we've turned into jerks.
We're busy. We've got soccer and work and school and We're a stray dog. That's not my problem. It's not my responsibility. It's not my dog.
Right.
But then you're not realizing.
But I've run into that lots of times where I'm on my way out the door and I've seen a dog in the street and I want to help, but I'm not going to lie. I'm like, I got to be at this place in 10 minutes. Shoot.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, it's a compromise internally for me.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. We're all just trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
Well, most of us. I could say most of us are trying to do the best we can.
Hey, that's why we're here. We're educating.
Why we're here.
So chaining dogs before you get a dog, where you have to establish, where's that dog going to live? Do you really want to throw it out in the yard on a chain and forget about it? If that's the case, what's the point of having the dog?
Yeah.
Kind of.
And fix it.
And fix it, please, while it's on a chain. But yeah, think of how there's so many YouTube videos and whatnot. Look into putting up your own fence. It's not rocket science. Yes, it's going to take some labor. It's not rocket science. Call a friend who owes you a favor.
Yeah.
Put up that fence, or hey, don't get the dog. Don't get the dog, or act as though you live in an apartment. You just walk. The dog lives inside. Yeah. You walk the dog daily.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, and we've got to sign off soon here.
Sure.
But I will say, I feel like people would be less compelled to adopt dogs when they're not ready if we had a reduced population.
Right.
So that, again, that's a ripple effect we'll go into. It's
right.
I mean, it doesn't really, it matters less right now that you're I've seen according to the shelters and the rescues, their threshold is different than it used to be because there are just so many animals that need homes. So, yeah. But that was good. I think. Yay. All right. I think, that's it for today. But if you're feeling compelled to support us after, listening to what we're about, please visit lawssavingpaws.org. And you can sponsor an episode. You can make a donation to what we're doing. You'll also have some links where you can follow the show specifically. But we would love to hear from you. Visit our website, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
I just choked on my word. All right, bye.